Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time, back with, again, the best investor in Fresno, California, Mr. Jason Pritchard. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Zuber. How are you?
I'm doing well. Hey, something I wanted to talk about here is something that has been critical part of my business at two different times, but you really have anchored this, right? If I were to think about what Jason Pritchard's business is built on, it is built on access to private money.
100%.
And you know, let's talk about it, right? Private money is very powerful. It needs to be done correctly. So let's just talk about it. Because again, you've been able to borrow millions of dollars, as I have,
Yep.
and you continue to roll millions of dollars into and out of projects. Talk about how it started, why it's important. I believe you're going to be using this for a long time to come. So let's talk about it.
So initially when I started, and we've talked about this, so I was using all my own money, right? And we literally cashed all our chips, pushed them in the middle, and did that for the first year and a half, 2 years, because I wasn't in a space where I felt confident enough going to other people and asking to use their money to do my projects, right? So I think I needed to build my self-confidence muscle and my track record before I could go approach people. But then once I got to that space and I had gotten enough projects under my belt and my self-confidence got to this point, I initially started going, I'm a really good networker, and I would go to all the different events, right? And all the local events, I would go to all of them. And I would get up and introduce myself. And this is exactly what I would say. I say, hey, my name's Jason Pritchard. I started investing real estate a couple of years ago. We've got about 15, 20 projects under our belt. And I've actually got more deals right now than I have access to money. And so if you're interested in working with me in a lending capacity on one of my deals, I'd love to sit down and talk with you in person after this meeting is over and see if there's some overlap in our two businesses. And I didn't even have to do that too many times. I think it was like 3 or 4 events that I went to, right? And eventually some person, it was literally a random stranger, somebody I'd never met before. I had never seen them at a meetup before. They came to me after that meetup and they said, hey, Jason, I really, I like what you had to say today, this, that, and the other thing. I'd be interested in talking to you. We sat down, we had lunch after that. And he's lent me millions and millions of dollars since then. And that's how it started for me, man. It's just asking. People always, how do you raise money? That's one of the questions I get all the time. Well, how do you do this? You have to ask. You have to be open to putting yourself out there and letting people know. You would be really surprised how many people have money out there. And here's the value proposition that you bring as an investor. You're bringing what I think is really one of the truly passive ways to invest in real estate, right? People think about rentals as passive, and then we both know that it's really not, right? Lending, at least the type of lending and the capacity they do on my deals, right? I try to do all of the legwork, right? We do all the due diligence, we do all the homework, we run all the numbers, we make sure all of the analysis is there to make the decision-making process very easy for our lenders. We send that to them. They look at it, they scan it, they say yes. They wire the money to title. We cut them a check either every month or at the end of the project. And then that's it. They don't have to go to our projects. They don't have to do anything. It's about as passive as it can get.
Yeah. The reason I pointed at that book, I'll do it one more time, is if you ever want to read Jason's story, it's chapter 14 in this amazing book. I had to get you and Jen's story in here because putting all your chips in the middle, leaving your W-2, it's in this book. Again, one of the 15 conversations with millionaires, chapter 14. So thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing that's important to me, because again, I borrowed millions of dollars a couple of different times, is both of us did it by just sharing and documenting our track record, right? For me, it started, I think I borrowed my first private money in 2010. It might've been late 2009, but at that point we'd done several deals, right? The market was crashing.
Yeah. And
we were buying right out of the MLS, right? You didn't have to even try that hard. I had a site called wealthbuildingpro.com. I was writing basically all my they were Burr projects before Burr was a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And then out of nowhere, like 6 months after doing that, people in my network that I worked with in the Silicon Valley found it and said, hey, I got some money.
Yeah.
Right. It was just weird. And lo and behold, I was paying 10% interest only at the time. They were lending me 100% and first position. And it's amazing. Yeah. I think what you have to do to secure private money, in my opinion, is you can never be desperate. Private money senses desperation. That's never good. And I believe you have to document a track record. Do you have to have 20 deals like Jason and I had?
I don't
No.
think so. I mean, I think it depends on you. And because you just touched on a very important point, and I want to unpack that.
Mhm.
There was a shift, I think, at the beginning with me where I went from a place mentally where I was asking to borrow money to here's the shift. You're not asking, you're providing an investment opportunity to somebody. And it's a really good investment opportunity, in my opinion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you have that shift and you go to them and say, listen, like, I'm not here begging or borrowing, like begging you to like borrow $100,000 or $200,000. It's a way that you can get 8 to 10%, right? Secured against a hard asset that, God forbid, if something happens to me, it'd actually be a better financial outcome for you if you had to take the property over, right? So even the worst case scenario, you're still covered, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's when you go there and you project that confidence in those initial conversations that you'll get way more yeses than you will like no's or maybes, right? And I think it's having that shift at first. Yeah. And that comes with confidence, right? And do you need to have 20 deals? No, you don't need to have 20 deals. It depends on your level of self-confidence and your ability to perform. And for me, it took 15, 20 deals before I got to a space where I was comfortable doing that. Right. And it's so interesting to hear, like, you in 2010. I mean, I know social media was around, but it's not what it is today. So it was like, I have to go build out a website and I have to go do this and people have to find the website and blah, 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 blah. And people don't understand, guys, everything that you need is right here for free, right here in your phone, right? You just have to, when you're going out on one of your projects, turn your phone around, press record, talk a little bit about what you got going on, right? And the people that are in your closest network, right? Your friends, family, your closest sphere of influence, those are the ones that most likely are probably going to work with you on your first few deals, right? For me, it happened to be just a stranger, but I actually think that's an anomaly, right? I feel like if you do what I just got done saying, right? The people that will initially reach out will be friends, family, old coworkers, things like that, where there's already that trust and rapport is built with them. And, those are going to be your first private lenders, if I had to bet.
Yeah, there's no question. So yeah, I agree. You do not need 20 deals. You don't even need 2 deals, but what you need to do is you need to be able to confidently articulate the deal and their security, right? You have this, I don't know what you would call it, lender package.
Yes, a credibility packet. Yep.
There you go. Credibility.
So one of the things, and that was more of a crutch for me than I think for the lenders at the beginning, right? I think it's good because it does build your self-confidence. So you actually have talking points when you go. So I would print this lender package up. I would take it over there. It's nice. It's colorful. It's got basically a short biography of me. It's got a breakdown of our business model. And then it has an analysis of a deal showing, like, here's, what our initial analysis was. Here's what we sent out to the lender. Here's the breakdown. Here's the actual, numbers after we closed, right? And then a list of projects that we've done, and then before and after pics and that type of stuff, right? And I think, and if any of your listeners want to get a copy of that to review, just DM me and I'll send you a copy of it, right? So then that way you can totally rip it off and duplicate it and make it your own if you want.
Yep. I think you actually created a video for me one time a year and a half ago. I think I put it in my courses.
Absolutely.
Bonus sections.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think bonus. It's nice to have something to go and talk about, but what the people that are struggling with finding private money, what you need to understand is the lender is making a bet on you. The project is important, right? So the numbers have to make sense on the project, but they're putting their chips on you. So they have to believe in your ability to perform, right? And so again, it goes back to your ability to project that confidence in that conversation, build trust, build rapport with them. And it gets to a point now where I've had my lenders, because we always do our homework and we do our due diligence, we send this initial analysis package out on every one of our deals. But I've got so many of the lenders that just say, Jason, don't even waste your time like sending me this stuff, dude, anymore, dude. Like,
I get it.
How much money do you need? And when does it need to be ready? And that's it. You know what I mean? And so, like, eventually that you'll get to that space.
Yeah. So again, I see lots of people struggling with private money. Most of you haven't done the work to build confidence in yourself.
Correct. Yep.
And thus, if you don't have you're like, I need money to do a deal. I need money. Desperation's never a good thing.
Absolutely.
And then the other thing I know, I think I read this in one of your stories years ago. There was a deal you did where you lost a little bit of money, but you of course took care of the private lender, right? No private lender has ever lost any money. They've got everything.
Never. Ever. And so here is rule number 1. When you're borrowing private money, always pay your private money lender on time and in full without question, right?
Every single time.
Anybody that's been in this business long enough that hasn't taken a loss, I'm very, very skeptical of a person like that, right? If
Amen.
so, I mean, I haven't taken a ton of losses, but I've definitely taken some over the years. And on
Sure.
those deals, the projects that I've taken losses on, right? My lenders would have never known that we've taken a loss on that deal because their check came in every single month. When that payoff came and we had to bring $20,000, $30,000 of our money in to close, right? To get that deal closed, right? They wouldn't even have known, right? Exactly. They wouldn't even have known. And here's my take on that. I typically do not share in any equity on my deals with my lenders. It's just rate and term, right? So how would it be reasonable for me to expect the lender to take and share in that loss when I take a loss on a deal? It doesn't make any sense. No, right?
Totally agree.
And so that's always been my thought process on it, right? And I think the fastest way to burn bridges or just burn your name or your reputation in this business, because your reputation is everything, is not pay one of your lenders back. That's going to go around very quickly. And the people that are willing to lend you money will start to diminish. The number of those people, that pool will shrivel up really quick.
Yeah. And then the last thing we'll talk about, once you've built a reputation, consistency, not only do they not need that credibility package anymore, but you can actually change your business, right? There was a time where you felt it was important to pay monthly. I get it, right? You pay your bills monthly. Now you're to a point, you've got so much money out. It's just easier for you to pay at the end of the deal, right? Not that they're getting less, they're just getting it dispersed at different times.
Correct.
So talk about what you did there, because again, your reputation matters and you've actually streamlined your business. Lenders still get every penny. They just get it at a different time. Talk about that.
So when you're flipping at scale, right? When you've got 18 to 20 projects on your books all the time at any given time, right? And you're using private money to do that, you're going to have cash management becomes a very big issue, right? Because not only do you got to pay all your contractors, you got to pay your payroll, you got to pay your marketing, but if you've got $6, $7, $8 million of private money out at 8 to 10%, and you're paying the majority of those lenders every single month, you're going to have just in interest payments, $30,000, $40,000 worth of a check that you've got to stroke at the end of every month, right? And when you stack that on top of
that's real
else,
money.
it starts to get very expensive towards the end of the month, right? And so this isn't what I would recommend for like brand new investors, right? That have never borrowed money. But if you're in a space where you've established this track record, you've borrowed money and paid those lenders off time and time and time again. What we did fairly recently was we reached out to our lenders and we said, hey, look, listen, we've always appreciated your guys' trust and working with us over the years. We want to continue to work with you guys, but we're changing up our business model and we are going to prioritize putting the funds to work from the lenders that are okay with us, instead of making that monthly payment, just paying it at the end when we sell the project off or refinance it or whatever our exit strategy is. And almost, of the 100% of the lenders that I borrow money from didn't even bat an eye. They said, yes, Jason, we're on board with that. Right. And so that creates such a relief in a cash management standpoint for me as a business owner. So I don't have to make a $30,000 or $40,000 cut, a $30,000 or $40,000 check it every month. And so once you get to a space where you've got this track record, you can tweak some of these terms or these things to make it beneficial to you without shorting the lender at all. And I think that's important, right? You said that we're not asking them to take less. We're just asking them to take their payment at the end, not small chunks throughout.
Yeah. So just to wrap it up. So again, let's just say it was a 6-month project. Normally you would send out 6 mortgage payments. Now you just take 6 times whatever that is. They get that plus their principal back. Again, they get the same amount of money. It's just at one time versus a little bit here and then paid off at the end.
Guys, this is a big thing for people that are operating at scale, because we're not in the type of business where you have consistent, predictable revenue every single month in, month out, right? There's even when you get to my stage, right? The ups and downs kind of, they don't get so dramatic, right? But
they're not a straight line.
Exactly, right? So we can't just say, okay, we're going to bank on 300 grand in revenue every single month. It makes it really easy to reverse engineer all of our costs and do all that stuff. And so this little tweak right here will make just your management of your books and cash management a lot easier.
Yeah. Does it improve profit? Same profit. Doesn't hurt your lenders at all. Same funds. I think it's a genius strategy. And again, it's built off years of reputation and consistency. And it makes perfect sense. I think it's a genius move. Jason, where can people find you?
Instagram is probably the easiest. I maxed out recently on my friends on Facebook. So find me on Instagram, Jason Pritchard. And if you've got questions about this, or you want a copy of that credibility packet, just so you have something that you can use as an outline, feel free to shoot me a DM and I'll send it right over to you.
Let me be very clear. There's 100 of you listening to this now. There's at least 100 of you that need to DM Jason this weekend. This credibility package is in my course, but you have to buy it. He's willing to give it to you for free. So if you don't DM him to get this, mistake. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.